Hello Spurs fans, welcome back to Speaking Spurs with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Now today we're going to talk about the press conference and just the build up to that Carabao Cup final on Sunday, 4:30 kickoff, Wembley Stadium. Can we do it? Betcha we can. So Ryan Mason's had his press conference today. I'm going to try and make this a short video because I've got to jump off to work soon. Just so happens that it's come in a bad time. So yes, Tottenham Man City. Ryan Mason's had his press conference. First question he was obviously going to be asked was about Harry Kane's fitness. He said that he didn't train today. Then they asked him percentage of him being likely to play. And he said at the moment they're just taking it hour by hour. So the other day he was saying we'll take it day by day. Now it is hour by hour. The days are running out. So he probably won't be able to answer that question until tomorrow. So they're going to judge it hour by hour. They'll have a conversation tonight. They'll then talk again tomorrow. Then they mentioned the fact that he was injured before the Champions League final. I know he's injured again before this final. Now, Ryan said, before the Champions League final, he was injured for quite some time in the lead up to that game. Whereas, this is a smaller injury, we think. But at the moment, he's not training, so they don't even know if he's going to play. They asked what it is like being an Enfield lad, taking Spurs out in a cup final. And he said, it means a hell of a lot. But he spent a lot of time preparing for the game. It's not about him. It's not about his ego. It's just about Tottenham. It's about the fans and seeing us win those games. And then he said afterwards, he may get some time to reflect on it and be proud. He was asked what the shape of the squad is to go up against Manchester City and how they are after that important win against Southampton. And he said, the win was important. They're feeling good. The manner of the win was very good. They're very comfortable within themselves at the moment. He was asked if he's had any conversations with Pep Guardiola in the past or anything like that. And what has he made of his teams in the past? He said, he's had no dealings with Pep whatsoever. But he's a great manager, one of the best in the world. But we're Tottenham Hotspur, and they'll be thinking about us just as much as we're thinking about them. They also wanted to speak about Gareth Bale, talking about his quality and what's the key to getting him playing in good form again. He said that we've got so many attacking players in the team, and the fact that Harry Kane was out for that game, it just meant that we desperately needed someone like Gareth Bale who can give us that extra bit of quality going forward, and that's exactly what he did in this game. But as for getting him back into form, it's not really about that because he was in form anyway. It was just one bad game against Arsenal, as we've said many, many, many times. And, Ryan said that they've never doubted his ability at all. There was then a question about racism, really. Patrick Bamford came out and did a very interesting interview where he said, the Super League got all this media attention and everything from the fans and it was complete uproar. And he was saying it's a shame that racism doesn't get the same treatment that the Super League got. What did Ryan think of that? He was saying, obviously racism is terrible. Us at Spurs, we're trying to do everything we can to get rid of it. And there's still more that needs to be done. He was asked if he's thought about the fact that he could possibly go out and out-tactic Pep Guardiola. And once again, very humbly, he's very good at interviews, Ryan Mason. He was saying that he hasn't really thought about that whatsoever because it's not about him whatsoever. It is not about him. It is about Tottenham. It's about the fans. It's about the victory for them. He's not thought about himself whatsoever and anything about his career. He's just employed to do the job and he's going to do the best he can for Spurs and hopefully we can get the win. He also reiterated that age-old thing that it's a cup final, anything can happen, it's a one-off game. Form means absolutely nothing going into these games. That's 100% true. He was also asked if the team should have won a trophy, including when he was at the club, because we've been in some finals, there's been a lot of quality within the squad and we've just failed to deliver really. Ryan said there was a 2 or 3 year period where we really had some good chances and for one reason or another, it just didn't happen. But, it doesn't change the fact that we managed to get ourselves there. We got the quality. We just didn't manage to get over the line in those particular moments. But he was saying that, if we win, that's great. If we don't, at least we come away with an identity. And that's something we have actually been missing under Jose. Like, there's been question marks as to what our identity is. But Ryan said in his first press conference before Southampton that he wanted us to play attacking football and get back to, playing the way we should. And he's reiterated that again. that we want to come away with this with an identity. Now, there was an interesting question about Harry Kane, and if he does play, is he then risking himself for the Euros? Now, Ryan gave a very professional answer. He said that obviously there's going to be conversations being between himself, Harry Kane. I mean, he'll know more than anyone where his body's at. There'll be talks with our medics. So it's a question of all of them working together, figuring out what's the best idea. And he certainly said that they wouldn't do anything that would, risk further injury. But ultimately, Harry Kane will have a lot to say, and it's his own body. And we all know if Harry Kane thinks that he can even give us 20 minutes, he'll give us those 20 minutes. But it will be a decision made between everyone. It won't just be a manager's decision of, give him an injection and get him to play. Another thing he was asked was about the last time we actually won the Cup in 2008, asking what his memories were of that. Obviously, Ryan Mason wasn't old enough to actually play. He wasn't in the squad. But he said that, they were all bought tickets. So, the youth academy players, they were there. They got to feel the atmosphere. And he said that he remembers Ledley and Keano lifting the trophy. And for, the academy guys, it was really nice to see Ledley lift that trophy, a guy that had come through the ranks himself. And it just showed them that hope and belief was there, that maybe one day they could go on for Spurs and lift this trophy. And that was quite nice to hear, that he has memories of those moments. Of course, there was always going to be a question about us being the underdogs, because Man City are kind of going off in the league. They're probably going to wrap that one up. But, he said that, form means absolutely nothing going into these games. They are a complete one-off. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you're currently doing. It's a one-off game, and it just comes down to it on the day, either that little bit of luck or the team that really wants it more. Obviously, he reiterated the fact that City are a great team. They've got great players. But he said, don't forget, we are also a great side with great players. And it's just nice to hear Ryan come out and back that up. Hopefully the players may watch the conference and, they'll get a little boost from that. This was quite an interesting question. He was asked about how he's finding it going from sort of like the friend of everybody to then the coach. And without being cocky, he said that he's found it quite natural. Obviously, he's been coaching within Spurs with the youth teams. He's got a lot of friendships with the guys in the first team squad. But he's got that knowledge as well. And I think a lot of the players respect him. And he was saying that everyone's been working hard. And he feels like, those friendships are still going to remain friendships. The only thing he said that he's found the hardest at the moment is getting the messages across to the players. Because it's been such a short space of time. Obviously, he's going to have his own way that he wants to do things. So, yeah, getting the messages across to him has probably been the most difficult. But, I personally feel like having friends within the squad could benefit us. It really could. Because you're not going to want to let your mate down at a crucial moment. For him, this could really pave a way for him as a career within management and coaching. So, have your friends back. Win us a trophy, guys. He was asked, did the 2015 and 2019 Cup finals, did it all pass us by? And do the players currently have the determination to put it right? I mean, it's a bit unfair because not all the players that we've got in the squad... It's a bit unfair because not all the players that we've got in the squad were actually in both of those finals. I mean, some were. Ryan couldn't really comment too much on the Champions League final because he wasn't at the club. He wasn't even playing football then. But, he mentioned the 2015 Cup final. He actually started that game. He said, if he remembers rightly, Christian Eriksen hit the crossbar. He said that, they had a goal from a set piece. They had a deflected goal. And he was saying, so it's not that we didn't play well. Like, we were in the games, but there's just certain key moments in games where everything can change. So it's not necessarily about the result itself. It's about how you've put yourself across and were you there in those moments. So he said that he's going to try and get across to them that there's going to be these moments where they need to, dig deep, and certain situations that they need to prepare themselves for that they might not normally have. So who knows? He was asked if a trophy could unite the fans and the players and the board. Obviously, we've had this Super League thing that's come up, which has really, really torn a divide between the club and the fans. he was optimistic in the sense that he feels like it could make a difference, but I think he knows deep down that the damage is kind of done and it's going to take a long time to repair. So, that was a question that we pretty much knew the answer to. He was asked, as a manager, have you had to sort of learn quick? And he said he's been lucky that he already has relationships with the players. As I said already, and he repeated it as well, his biggest challenge has been getting messages across to the players. But, he's had a good stead so far because he's been coaching within Tottenham. It's not like he's been brought in from elsewhere. So he sees everybody every day. He knows everybody in the club top to bottom. There was a mention that Hugo had come out being very complimentary of Ryan, saying don't underestimate him, which is, very complimentary, especially from someone like Hugo that, he's captain of his country, he's won a World Cup. And they asked, can he explain his philosophy? To which Ryan Mason replied, no. And he was saying, like, when you go through your coaching badges, you could do thousands and thousands of slides putting across your reasons for this, your reasons for that. But he said, as long as you have like an idea and a sort of structure that you want, but you need to remember to give the players freedom as well to express themselves on the pitch. And he was saying that that's how he'd kind of sum it up within 2 sentences. Also, has he really got the time to, if he has a philosophy, to put that across to the players? Not really. That's something that I'll have to develop over the next 6 games. I think we're going to see a lot more freedom from the players just because you have to in this moment. You have to trust them and just see how we get on. There was a bit about the halftime team talk and how he, tried to give the players belief and that they needed to attack more. And then in the second half, we really went on and they were just asking about, that being important and is maybe that mentality better than it was in the past. He's not really going to comment on it. He kind of just said, the past is the past, but you're not going to come out and outrightly say that the previous manager didn't do good enough to get the mentality in there. He just said, look, it's just important to keep believing and keep going, but the players have showed good personality and stuff, to fight and get the win, and he wants to see more of that. Naturally, we got fans back for this game, although be it not many. He was asked how he feels about that, and he said, it's just a shame it's not a packed stadium, more fans, but it'll be nice to have, some fans in there. Hopefully the players can create a good environment for them. Hopefully vice versa, the fans can, give their all and push us on and just create some sort of normality to football. He was asked about Dele because Dele Alli hasn't played a lot of football recently. He got himself back into the squad and was almost out just as quickly as he was in it. And he was asked, he hasn't had a lot of football, how's his fitness? Ryan started off by saying he's fine fitness-wise, but then he instantly switched over to the team. It's almost like he doesn't really want to talk about certain individuals coming back into the squad. And then from that, I think he got confused and completely forgot that he was meant to be talking about Dele, because he went on to then start talking about Bale, saying that, when he's in that final third, like, he's great, he's got the quality, like, it's never undoubted, he's a world-class player. So the reporter reminded him that he was meant to be talking about Dele. And he didn't really give us an answer on it. He was saying that there's 6 games left, the players are all fit, they've got to push themselves. If he finds that people are looking good in training and they're fit, they'll be in contention to play. So it's not really an answer, which probably tells us that the same as when Jose was managing, there's something going on with Dele that might be a bit more controversial than we know behind the scenes, but he certainly didn't want to comment on it and dodged it quite well, I thought. He was asked how much time he's really had to prepare tactically for City, and his answer was, there's more time than you think when you're not sleeping. Lots of footage to go through, lots of, notes, analysis, all sorts of things. He's essentially saying that he's just been working round the clock to figure out what we're going to do, come up with a way to be in the game, to beat them. I mean, that's good really, isn't it? He's putting the hours in, he's making sure that he's coming up with a plan. Then he was asked straight after, like, how many hours are you putting in then? And his answer was a lot. But he said in this situation he feels like it's normal, and the managers that have had a lot of longevity in the game said that they must find a way of making it work, so he's going to have to do the same. Then he was asked about, does his clean slate give players like an extra zip? And by that, the reporter meant, does it give them a bit more of a bounce around? Does it reinvigorate them? And he was saying that he hopes so. But he said everyone's been training well so far as a group. They're very together. And you feel like you always get that with a new manager coming, because those people that have been in the wilderness, they've got hope again, haven't they? They've got a chance. So they've got to push themselves to get in there. And it's only a good thing normally at the start when you get a new manager. Then he was asked, has he had any like messages come in with advice or, things like that? And he said his phone has not stopped going. He said to the point where there's probably some people that think he's ignoring him. He's not. His phone's just been going on that much, but he's got so much work to do with Spurs. He hasn't been able to get back to everyone, but he said, he has his people in football that he trusts, people that he will take advice from. So that's good that he's got people watching his back. And I have heard that Pochettino has been in contact with him to wish him well. We know that Pochettino liked him as a player, liked him as a person. So I wouldn't be surprised if Maurizio has been giving him some good advice, and fingers crossed that, pays fruition in the final. And then, strangely, he was asked about Troy Parrott, and that's because the reporter that asked the last question is actually in Ireland at the moment, because Ryan will obviously know him from the youth football. And he was saying, Troy Parrott, he's out on loan at the moment. And he's had, his little difficult periods, but that's normal when you go out and you're developing as a player. But he said, to be honest, he's not really had any time to think about that. Doesn't want to talk about it too much, because he's just had to dive in and try and get the team to where it needs to be for this. So that was it for the press conference. If we just look at the form of both teams going into this game, City have won 4 and lost 2. Now, the 2 games they lost were Chelsea and Leeds, and I think the Leeds game may have been a home game for them. And then for us, we've won 2, lost 2, drawn 2. So we're consistent. We've got all the 2s out there. But as we say, form doesn't really mean anything going into these games. And a little bit of team news for Manchester City. I don't know about injuries. I think De Bruyne may be touch and go, I've heard. But John Stones picked up a red card in the last game, which means he will miss the Carabao Cup final, which can only be good news for us, because he's been fantastic this season. City have finally got like a consistent back two, performing well together, so that should disrupt it a little bit. And if Harry Kane plays and we've got Son and Gareth Bale is on the pitch firing, you would think that they are going to target the centre-backs to make sure that partnership, whichever partnership it ends up being on the day, is disrupted. So going into the game, if you look at it on the two teams, City have been much the better team this season. They've been the form team. They're going to run away with the league. Can we do it? I really genuinely think we can. It's been a long time coming. We've been very unlucky in cup games. Like the Champions League final was just a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, the way that it was lost. And Ryan Mason, obviously, he's going to want this. Of course he is. He'll be doing everything he can. Hopefully the players are going to want it just as much as he does and just as much as the fans do. And I think we're owed one. The players owe it to us. The club owes it to us. Yes, it will calm things down around the club with everything that's been going on, albeit temporarily. And before you know it, the season will be over. And if we can go away with a trophy, it'd just be lovely for us, wouldn't it? Just to have something to celebrate. I don't care what cup it is. Carabao Cup, FA Cup. Had it have been the Europa League, if we'd have not had such a disappointing time against Zagreb. But let's get behind the boys. Let's get behind Ryan Mason. I really like him. He comes across so well in interviews. In fact, he comes across better than most managers that have been at it for years. So, I don't know. I'm quietly confident that something's going to happen. And if he gets the balance of the squad right, we're really going to have a chance. And I hope we attack them and don't just try and go on the counter-attack. Let's take the game to them. And as we know, we're a bit of a bogey team for Manchester City, aren't we? Done them in the Champions League all the way back when Peter Crouch scored that goal to get us in the Champions League for the first time. They are a team that struggles against us. We are their bogey team of the top 6. So stay safe. Get yourselves ready for Sunday, and as always, come on you Spurs. Now I'm off to work.